Hello, friends, and welcome to Rise Up in Real Estate, where we are on a quest. We are looking for the extra in the ordinary. And I'm Tad Fulford, and I will be your host on this journey where we will take an honest look at what makes ordinary people extraordinary. Exactly how can we be extra in our personal and our professional lives? In this season of the Rise Up in Real Estate adventure, there will be a monthly rhythm, meaning each month we will have 4 unique episodes. In one episode, we'll tackle a pressing current real estate industry thought. In another, we will chat with a local difference maker in the real estate space. For our 3rd episode, we will host a respected national thought leader. And finally, we will have a 4th bonus and surprise episode. And in each episode, we will be digging into not only what those people think, but who those people are. Along the way, it's my hope that you'll laugh some, you'll be challenged some, you will get inspired some, and if we are lucky, maybe even figure out a way or two you can rise up in your own life and be the best human that you can be. So the challenge is, let's all rise up. So I'm really excited to be here today with my good friend. Like I've told you on these episodes before, some of these people I know really good. Some of these I'm just getting to know. But of course, my goal is to let us all get to know these people. But today, I have a really special guest. This person and I have been friends for several years in business and outside of business. And it's just been fun to get to know Lori White. Some of you, you're listening to this because you know Lori's on here and you like Lori too. So Lori, thank you for coming. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I was thinking about how long we've known each other. I think it's 11 years.
I was thinking about that too. I thought it was 10 or 11, so I'm sure you're right and I'm wrong, but 11 years.
10 or 11 when you stalked me at the gym.
Yeah. Oh, I had forgotten that. That's funny. So what was that at Planet Fitness?
Yeah.
That's so
You
funny.
came up to me and said, "You're Lori White. I see you with people in your car all the time, so you must be busy."
Oh gosh. Well, that's very original. So this episode is on how not to recruit. That is how not to recruit an individual. Actually, it must have worked. 11 years ago, that's probably it could have been the last time I was in Planet Fitness. It was Planet Fitness, not Fitness Edge, right?
No, Planet Fitness. But you didn't get me to make the move for a long time because you were not pushy. You just waited for me to come to you.
Yeah. Well, you were in a really good situation, and I think were very good friends with that person, and I had all respect. Those of you that know me know that I have all respect for that, and I just felt like we had something to offer. So, but I'm really glad you're here today. I know this is weird.
Too.
Everybody that walks in here sees the microphones, and they're like, what in the world is going on? But just want to have a conversation with you for the next little bit and let people see Lori. So tell us, I'd like to hear a little bit about where you came. Lori White is an agent right now in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We're coastal region of South Carolina. She's a real estate agent. But where did you come from? Like, tell me where you were born and something interesting about your past.
So I was born and raised in Massachusetts on the South Shore, which is about 20 miles south of Boston, in a little town called Randolph.
Okay, go Patriots, I'm assuming, is what you've said a lot in your life. Right?
Yes, definitely go Patriots. Met my husband when I was 16, and we married when I was 20. And we were together for almost 41 years. Wow. Married almost 38.
Amazing.
And I'll maybe talk about this later when he passed away earlier in the year.
Yep.
We have 2 amazing girls.
Yes, you do.
Kerri she lives in Atlanta with her husband, Brandon, and my grandson, Finn, and my newly coming soon granddaughter, who shall remain nameless.
Amazing.
Yes, very excited. And 2 granddogs over there. We're a doodle family. She's got 2 doodles.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's all about humane society, pets saving. We'll talk about your show in a minute. That'd be great.
Yep. And then I've got another daughter here. She's younger. Kerri's 34. Courtney is going to be 30 in December.
Wow.
She works for one of the local timeshare companies, and she is just amazing. She does an amazing job, and she lives right near me, about 15 minutes from my house.
It seems like every time I turn around, she's winning another award.
She has won many awards, yes.
So she's maybe walking in your footsteps and even way past fast your footsteps.
I think I'm learning from her.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about having kids, isn't it?
Yeah,
you do learn.
yeah,
If you're open to it, you'll learn for sure.
Yep.
So not that her face lit up, but you should hear her talk about her grandchild, and one coming on the way.
Yeah.
So little boy Finn, how old is Finn?
Finn is 20 months. He'll be 22 months when the new one comes. So they'll have their hands full.
Yes, they will.
So yeah, it's gonna be exciting. I actually just bought a second home so I can spend a little more time there and help out. And none of the grandparents live close by.
Right.
So it's tough when you have two babies and there's no family around. So I'm gonna try to be around a little more often than I could otherwise. So I'm really excited about that.
That's cool. We were considering buying you a townhome there just as a company because we know we don't want you to move there.
No,
I'm not afford you to go there.
I'm not moving.
You here. We want Lori here.
Yes.
We don't want you to go.
No, not
so
moving.
But family is really, really important to you. Obviously,
hugely.
Every time you talk about your daughters, you just can't. You beam. You can't stop. And I have this. And those of you that don't know Lori's husband Bill passed earlier this year after a long bout with COPD, and I'm convinced that I watched the whole thing happen. Lori was his angel, and he was her angel. It was just a really beautiful thing to watch, if that could be a beautiful thing. But as I think about this in my mind, I always think about this picture of Bill that I've seen. Maybe it's his profile on Facebook or yours, maybe, with one of his daughters he was a coach, right? He coached their teams. Mm-hmm. Am I right with that?
Kerri, yep. He coached Kerri in soccer from 8 years old until she graduated high school.
Wow. And Kerri's quite the athlete.
She was, and she's still she's a different athlete now. She is a CrossFitter, both her and Brandon, who, by the way, is the best son-in-law. I mean, if I could have made him myself, it would have been him.
That's cool.
He is the most amazing man, and we love him. He's like a son to us. But they are both heavy CrossFitters, and she actually coaches CrossFit as well.
Oh, wow.
Even while she's pregnant.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So shout out to Brandon. Brandon, you'll listen to this episode, I'm 100% sure, and you got kudos as a son-in-law. So congratulations to you. And I've known Lori for a few years, and she doesn't just hand out compliments to just anyone. So congratulations for you for being that man. And I remember you telling me about them going through a process. Like they stumble upon like not a diet program, but some sort of a program called Whole 30 or something, right? That really worked for them, and they started doing CrossFit, and they went through a huge transformation. Is that right?
It started with Kerri because of some intolerances that she was having,
right?
And she wanted to figure out what it was that was causing her the issues. And for her, it was dairy was a big one, and some other things too. So they just started eating clean. Like after they finished that was it. They just eat clean. Yeah. They exercise. I was there last weekend, and she got up at, I don't know, it was dark, whatever time dark was in the morning,
right,
to go work out at 7 months pregnant. It's
amazing.
Yeah, they're both amazing.
It was fun I remember you running into the office showing me pictures of their transformation. Like you were shocked and just so impressed. And now she's 7 months pregnant. So bless her heart.
Yep.
But she's still kicking it in the early morning. That's crazy.
Yeah. If you look at her from the back, you would never know she's pregnant. Even from the front, she'll kill me for talking about this. But she was getting on the plane to go home yesterday, day before, whenever it was.
Yeah.
And they had her empty her pockets in her hoodie. Yeah. And she emptied them all, and she said, they're all empty. And they said, well, what have you got in there? She said, baby.
Oh my gosh. That's so hilarious.
It just looks like she just got a baggy sweatshirt on.
Well, good for her. I mean, you take care of yourself and takes care of you. I'm learning a little bit about that too in myself. So we're going through a little bit of a pregnancy for us. But it's really neat to hear about you and your family. And that's the fun thing about this show. Like you and I have had some discussions about Tom Brady. We've had discussions about your family, my family, business a little bit, but real estate's kind of secondary. It's crazy, but that's the way I prefer it. So we'll just keep rolling about that. So you're from Massachusetts, and what in your work career before you got into how long have you been a licensed real estate agent in South Carolina?
Oh gosh. I actually got my North Carolina first because I was living in North Carolina, and then I reciprocated because that was available to us very easily then. Yes. And I want to say I got my license in North Carolina in 2005, I believe, but I had it in Massachusetts because I was someday going to do real estate.
Yeah.
But I was I was a legal secretary back in the days when you didn't really hear the term paralegal, and I worked for a general practice law firm.
Okay.
That really specialized in real estate, although I did a little bit of divorce, a little bit of estates, a little foreclosure, a little bit of everything, but a lot of real estate. And real estate just spoke to me.
Right.
And that was in 1983 that I
oh wow
that I I was 19 when so anybody can do quick math. You can know how old I am.
She's 27.
Yeah, exactly. A few times. I just sort of went on that real estate path, doing closings for real estate attorneys. Right. And continued to do that over the course of my life in between kids, taking a small break. I did some daycare for a few years because it was too expensive to send my kids to daycare, and it was crazy.
I've heard that.
So I just decided to do daycare at home until one of them went to school, and then it was okay. But all in all, 25 years as a real estate paralegal doing closings. So I don't, if I ever hear anybody badmouth the paralegal in any law firm, they hear it from me because I have been in that seat and when it was not nearly as bad as this, and it was bad.
Right.
There's a special place in heaven for real estate paralegals. That's all I'm saying.
That's funny. Right beside teachers and nurses.
Yeah, exactly. And I also, for a very short time, was a commercial title insurance underwriter.
Oh, wow.
For a short time because I hated it. Yeah. But I would take giant plats and have to draft legal descriptions. And from there, I went and started working for one of our largest clients. I went back to being a paralegal, and I started working for one of our largest clients who was a new home builder in the 05, 06.
Oh, great.
Time. Yes.
Wonderful timing.
It was at the time because I was hired to manage the closing department, and it was just me and two girls. And when I left 18 months later, I had 9 people working for me. And in 2006, we closed 1,262 new homes.
Wow. That's a lot.
My only job was to get them closed.
Yeah.
At whatever. And those are the days where people had no money.
Right.
And we just pay their closing costs. And it was a crazy time. But and then I moved here finally. We moved to Charlotte in 2001. We just couldn't stand the weather. We couldn't stand the economy in Massachusetts. Everything was so expensive.
Right.
And we literally just quit our job, sold our house, and moved because we could, because of the difference in the value in real estate. So that's how I got to Charlotte. But we started coming here to visit and started loving it here and decided we wanted to retire here.
Right.
And then I was offered a job managing closings for a developer here.
Okay.
And that was 2007.
Okay.
That's when things went a little squirrely.
Right. For everybody.
Yeah. And by 2009, I had no closings to manage, and I got laid off. First time in my life that I wasn't working.
Okay.
I think I was 14 when I started working.
Wow.
And so I had my real estate license, and I always said someday, well, here I was, no job, no salary, no benefits, no nothing but unemployment.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm not going to do it now, I'm never going to do it. And
right.
The rest is history. 2009 is when I started selling.
That's interesting. So those of you that know Lori, you're not surprised now after hearing her story why she can answer every question. Like she's a resource beyond resources. She's so willing to help. And I'm not saying that on here so that more of you call her necessarily, but
I'm changing my number.
Her cell phone number is not going to be published, but she does have a wealth of knowledge, but it makes sense based on where you've been, that you would know all of that stuff. That is so interesting.
Yeah.
And did you work for only one real estate company before you came to us when you came here?
No, actually,
I jumped around just a little bit.
I did. So I started with a company that's not around anymore in Murrells Inlet because Bill, my husband, was a mortgage banker at the time.
Yes.
And there were some agents in this particular office that he was doing deals with and said they were all very nice. And it just wasn't the place for me. I was there maybe 4 months.
Right.
And then I went to a small company. In my brain, I thought I don't want to be with a brand,
right?
Because I thought I had to function a certain way to be with a brand, and I couldn't have been more wrong about that. But, and so I taught myself from the ground up how to do this business. I had nobody training me, nobody showed me.
Right.
I just sort of figured it out as I went along. And so I was, kind of like an old dog. I didn't want to have to learn new tricks to do things a certain way.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have been more wrong coming here, but that's another story.
Right.
So I stayed with this other company for about 3 years. It was a property management company that just opened up a sales side for me.
Right.
And I did my own thing. Again, no training, but it was 2 minutes from my house. I could do what I wanted.
Right.
And I started building my business that way. And I think I was still collecting unemployment at the time, which I kept thinking was like illegal, but I kept telling them I'm making commissions. And they said, well, you can keep collecting because you lost a salary job. Just tell us when you make a commission and you won't get paid that week. We'll move it to the next week.
Holy moly.
I collected unemployment for 3 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You can do that in the real estate business, I guess.
Well, back then, they allowed, it was the perfect storm.
Right. Right.
And that's what allowed me to build my business.
Right.
And meet clients and do the work you got to do to get started.
Yeah.
And so I left there and went to the other company that I was at before I came to you.
Right. Right.
And I was there for about 3 years also a very small company.
Right.
It was the owner and me and a couple other agents. And you and I met, and like I said, you were never, I always said you subliminally were recruiting me, but you really weren't. You really weren't. You just talked about things, and we got together personally.
Yep.
You did some comedy, and I came and met a lot of the agents and came to that and realized that it was a place that maybe I might want to check out.
Yeah.
And I think I've told Mandy this 100 times, but I never had met Mandy before.
Right.
And
right.
I thought that she was this 50 some odd. No, I was 10 years ago. I thought she was this 50 some odd older woman, stuffy. I couldn't believe it when I met her, and I thought, is this her daughter? I don't know.
Right.
I was so surprised.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So and I'll be here forever.
Yeah, and Lori is just she's a magnet. Like when our agents began to meet her, she just immediately had fast friends. She was well respected. You were well respected in the market already. Had a very robust business. I don't mind saying David Murphy was incredible to you, and I know he's still a friend and a friend of mine. But it was a great run. Was it? So I guess for a second we need to talk about real estate. Let me just ask you a question. You've had, well, maybe it's real estate, maybe it's not. You had a really trying last 7 years.
Yeah.
Let's say that, because Bill got sick about 7 years ago, right?
Yeah. I had been with RE/MAX for a grand total of 3 months when he had an episode of respiratory failure.
Yeah.
And actually did have to be revived a couple of times. And after that, he was not able to work anymore. He had to retire. And he was very self-sufficient for a long time, even though he couldn't work. Because any kind of stress, and if you know what the mortgage industry is like, any kind of stress affects your breathing.
Right.
And so people think, oh, you're a desk job, why can't you work? But stress causes this breathing thing. So he couldn't work. He obviously, being a man, had a real hard time with that.
Yep.
But he was very self-sufficient. He was so dedicated to, he was really inspiring. I mean, and I know we've actually talked about
100%.
this. You actually did maybe one of your videos that you had done about Bill, because he was so determined to do the things that he wanted to do, no matter how long it took him and no matter how much pain or suffering or how many breathing episodes he would have in the middle of doing it, he would always do it.
Yep.
And it was like that right up until about the last 6 months, probably.
Right.
And then we all kind of knew it was coming. But we got to spend Christmas with Finn.
Yeah.
First Christmas.
Awesome.
And coincidentally, the day after Christmas, we were still in Atlanta, and that's when he ended up in the hospital and was there for a month before he passed away in Atlanta. So we went for a week and stayed for a month. Yeah.
And I remember those. I remember the first phone call 7 years ago when you called me and told me what was happening. And I, as an outsider, witnessed, what Lori and Bill went through. And I saw Bill as so much pride. I remember I offered several times, can I come help you do this or that? And he always said, no.
Nope.
And I'm the guy 100% healthy that wants people to help me all the time. Like if you want to ask me to put up, I remember talking about the cabinets that he did in the garage, and then he redid your laundry room cabinets. And you would have never thought, unless you saw him physically, you would have never thought there was anything wrong. So what a statement, what a testimony he left for you and your children. And
he wouldn't even let me help him shower. Yeah. I mean, right even at the end.
Right.
And you'd think that's such an easy thing to do, right? It's so hard. And he didn't want a seat, and because he knew if he gave into that, then he was afraid he wouldn't be able to go away from it. Like it would be another step towards the end.
Yeah. I hope the listeners, that's probably the lesson that we're going to get out of today's episode right there. Once you give something up that you can do, it's so hard to continue to do it yourself.
Yeah.
You can translate that to a lot of different things in life. What a lesson.
And it's interesting because I tell people all the time that neither of us ever got COVID, but COVID is what killed him. because when COVID hit, he was going to pulmonary rehab every day.
Right.
That was what kept him, because the rest of his body was strong. His lungs didn't have to work as hard to do the work that they did.
Right.
And so he went to pulmonary rehab every day. And that wasn't,
he was like a leader there, wasn't he?
He was.
He was doing, he was teaching class. I mean,
he won an award for the most visits. I mean, he was determined. And as time went on, maybe he went 3 days a week instead of 5, but he still went. And then COVID hit and it all shut down. And that's really where the downturns started to occur.
There's a lot of irony there that he had a lung disease and COVID didn't kill him with his lungs. Right. It was the circumstance. That's so bizarre to me. But I appreciate you being open.
Yeah.
And I know since you've been through that, you have, and this is why I think we go through things in life, how hard they are, or how easy they are. You've been able to help other people. You've got a neat community of people maybe that have been through similar things. Is that right?
Yeah. There are a few agents in our market who lost their husbands. We all lost within 4 weeks of each other. I'm not going to name any names, but
I appreciate that.
And we are, we haven't gotten together physically in person, but we text each other a lot, or it's on Facebook, or just the support there. And even other agents and other friends who have had other tragedies that are not the same as a spouse, but still other tragedies. We got to hang on to each other and help each other out, because sometimes we just need a little bit of a shoulder to lean on.
And you're a pretty self-sufficient, independent woman, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't like to take help either. And it's offered to me a lot, and I too have trouble accepting help. I've been trying, but it's tough.
Sometimes those people from Boston are just stubborn that way. Like Northeasterners, you just going to do it yourself. And I mean, look at Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Right. We'll pretend he's not at Tampa Bay. We'll pretend he's still at New England.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you for telling that story. So it's funny, like for me to ask you real estate questions just seems so, insignificant, because we just went through a circus of a market, like for the last 24 months. But in the midst of that, you were going through what you just described. So tell me how you've dealt with real estate during this process, if you have.
It's funny because I don't know if I said it to you or to RENE, but I am shocked that I'm having my best real estate year ever. Yeah. And I can tell you that I have not intentionally worked. Like, I haven't sat down and made phone calls, and just because, I'm in a different place. My mind is in a different place. I'm thinking about the kids, and I'm, just dealing.
Finn.
Yeah. Thank God for Finn.
That's amazing. Finn.
So, and I was saying that, I think I was saying it to RENE, how lucky I am that things have worked out the way they have, and that, I've been getting all this business. And she said, "What do you mean luck? This is what you've built." My business is the majority of my business. Gosh, if I had to put a percentage, I haven't looked today, 85% probably of my business is referral or repeat clients. And that's what comes back, because I don't do the typical drip campaigns to stay in touch, or a lot of my clients follow me on Facebook, and we talk a lot. I mean, it's, we have private messages going on, or just different things. And so we stay in touch that way. And just by doing that, I just get the referrals. I do a lot of staying in touch with people that I've met at R4. I do videos to those folks, and those folks send me business as well. And so it wasn't really luck. It was just the way I do things. And it's not the conventional way that maybe we all learn when we're starting out.
Right.
But it works for me. It really works for me.
Yeah. When hard work meets opportunity, that's what people call luck.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me while you were going through all this with Bill in the last stages that you were taking a listing while you were in the waiting room in the hospital in Atlanta. Yeah. And your clients were telling you, I remember on more than one occasion, you told me that your client said, "Just wait till you get back. I'll wait on you." Mm. And that is a business built the way it should be built. It hasn't always been that way. Like, you worked your tail off. That's why RENE said it's not luck.
Yeah.
You worked your tail off to establish it. And if you know Lori, I mean, I'm going to ask her what she thinks, but I know that once you're in her web of influence as far as real estate goes, she's not going to let you down. She's not going to forget. She's going to work hard. If it can be done, she's going to do it.
Yeah.
So, what a blessing, that you were in that place.
Yeah.
That you could, your best real estate year. Are you kidding me? Like, you can't even imagine the things that how much have you cried this year, for crying out loud? A lot.
Gosh, yes.
And you haven't even been here. How bizarre.
Yeah. I haven't been, I won't give up my office space because I like it, but I don't think I've been in it other than to check my mail.
Right.
Since COVID.
Yeah.
Because I had to work at home.
2020.
Yeah.
Right.
I had to work at home, and then I got used to working at home, and then Bill needed me to be home. And so now I don't have Bill, but it's like, it's beautiful out. I just did a really beautiful backyard renovation that I love, and I work out there, and I'm like, yeah, I'll use the office because I'm not giving it up because I'll never get it back. So, but I'll come back. But right now it's just, and that's, I'll do videos to my clients sitting on the back porch. Like, hey, look, are you guys living life to the fullest? What do you do to make you happy? Just things like that.
You feel that from people. Like they feel it from you. I think they appreciated you going through what you went through, and you were transparent. And the fact that you are living a life that you choose to live is, just what a great testimony. I hope you guys are listening to this. I'm learning. It's blowing my mind, and I knew all of this. So I know it's blowing your mind that she's married to a person who has a respiratory illness. We face the worst pandemic that our generation's ever seen, maybe ever. She had every single reason to quit, like every reason to throw in the towel. What's interesting is she might have even quit, but her clients wouldn't let her. Like the referral repeat business was continuing to come because of what you've built. That's amazing. Like that is so much bigger than us talking about it. It's really cool to see. I hope that people are listening.
I could tell a really funny story.
Tell it. Just don't cuss a lot.
No cussing. It starts off sad, and it was not funny when it happened. But
okay, talk to me.
But going forward, it's a testimonial to how awesome my clients are and how important it is to stay in touch. Right. Okay. So, Bill's younger brother passed away 2 years before Bill did of lung cancer. They all had lung stuff.
I remember that.
And Bill couldn't fly, and he really couldn't drive the 18 hours to Boston, so he could not go to the funeral.
Right.
So I was going to go to the funeral, and we had 3 dogs at the time, which he couldn't manage on his own. So we had to get them in the kennel. And anyway, I don't want to make it too long, but when I fly, I always take just a small like crossbody because I don't want to have that big bag. But I just, for whatever reason, I took my big bag and I wasn't thinking, and Tad's looking at me like he knows what I'm going to tell you. And it's so I go to the airport.
So she took a bag that she doesn't normally take to the airport. That's the key to this story. So go ahead.
Yes. So I have TSA pre-check for the first time in my life, random, like I've never had it before. And I can honestly say I've never had it since.
Yeah, never had it again.
Never had since. And I'm all cocky, and don't have to take off my shoes, and I don't have to take off my belt, and I'm all excited and put my stuff through, and I'm standing waiting, and I'm looking at they're so stoic anyway. They don't crack a smile or make a face, but this man is like uber stoic looking at the monitor, and I'm waiting and waiting. And I say, what are you looking at? I said, oh, you're looking at my charging brick in my duffel bag because that looks suspicious.
Yes.
And he just shakes his head very, very slowly side to side.
Oh, no.
And I said, what in the world are you looking at that is making you look like, oh, and then I did say a bad word.
Yeah.
I think it began with F.
Yeah.
And I
wouldn't be surprised.
I said, I am in big trouble, aren't I? And he just nods his head up and down. I, as a realtor, I protect myself when I'm out with people I don't know, and I carry legally. I have a permit, and had a concealed loaded weapon in my purse.
Oh my gosh! And you laid it on the belt and went through and got caught.
The purse, yeah. I mean, I didn't just get caught. I mean, so very long story short, I was handcuffed. I was taken in the back room. I was crying so inconsolably that the drug dog came in from another room and put her head on my lap. I was out of control.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm like, can she stay? Anyway, so, they tell me they've got to take me. If they'd already rebooked my flight before I left the airport. They obviously knew this was a mistake. Clearly I'm not a terrorist.
Right.
But they had to arrest me because TSA governs
have
there.
rules, yeah.
And so I have to be arrested. And I say, okay, so you're going to take me out the back, right? And they say, oh, no, we're going to cuff you in the front, and we'll hang your jacket over your handcuffs, and we have to walk you through the airport. So nobody knows that I'm arrested as I'm carrying my purse like Emily Latella, with a cop on each side, with my Remax Southern Shores shirt
Great
on.
marketing, Lori. Great marketing.
Yeah. Which they kept me in. Like, I didn't even get a jumpsuit when I had to stay overnight in jail.
The brand is strong.
Yeah. They told me I would have my bond hearing and I would go home, and that would be that. Well, I got there and bond had already happened for the day. And I said, so I'll come back tomorrow. And they said, I don't think you understand, honey. You can't leave. And I said, I can't stay here.
Says the lady who just tried to pass a gun through security.
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, it's funny now. It was anything but funny at the time. But the point of the whole story is, I figured my career was over.
Right.
My clients were not going to come back to me. I was working with a very wonderful couple. He was a retired colonel, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
Right.
And so after I composed myself, after I, come home and take a shower, I called the clients that I knew would see it on the news, and I just wanted them to hear it from me before
Smart. Yeah.
And I said, I'm so sorry, and I understand if you don't want to ever work with me again. And they are laughing hysterically.
They can't stop laughing.
They're like, okay, we know you. We know this isn't you. You're clearly not a terrorist. And they never faltered. None of them. I mean, no matter who I told, they said, you're our girl. Don't you worry about that. So that was the point of that whole story.
Yeah, that is a great testament to who you were. I just remember. I remember what I remember. I didn't realize you were going to his brother's funeral. You never made it.
Oh no,
you didn't go because you were in jail.
No. Well, they booked it for the next day, but I was still in jail.
Right, so you were still in jail,
and I hadn't showered, so I didn't go.
No, it's gosh. I remember Bill calling me.
Yes.
And when Bill had, I don't know that Bill had ever called me except for one other time to ask something about R4, like he was trying to surprise you with something. Mm-hmm. But he called and he was very somber. And I was like, oh my, what can we do? And there is nothing you can do that I could do other than, hey, I'm here. And then I remember the first time you called me the next day, I think, and you were like,
I was out of
my
control.
Career's over. Like, how am I going to live through this? And now we're sitting here laughing at it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I say all the time on this podcast, the only way that you can lose is to quit.
No.
And if you it would have been very easy again for you to give up, like just because imagine the whole world is looking at you, right?
Well, especially when they kept replaying it on Facebook and on the news. Yeah, like 4 days later, it was a slow news day, and another news outlet played it again.
I know they were looking for a reason to make you look really bad. And then you had the best year you ever had this year, so go show them, right?
Yep,
that's pretty funny. Thank you for sharing that. I forgot that. Tell me briefly about your connection to Humane Society.
Oh, gosh.
Because I want to be able to put something in the show notes that'll help link you to that.
Oh, so absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Harmony, our director of happiness, actually helped me with this idea. She knew how much I loved animals, and I just didn't have time to volunteer per se. I didn't have time to walk dogs or clean cages, but I wanted to do something. And so we came up with this idea of what I call Friday Fur Babies. And Friday mornings, most Friday mornings, sometimes they aren't available to do it and sometimes I'm not, but most Friday mornings, 10 o'clock, I'm at the Humane Society of North Myrtle Beach, and we do a little show called Friday Fur Babies. It's a live Facebook show where we highlight, usually it's 3. Sometimes if there's a litter of something, then sometimes it's more than 3, but usually it's 2 dogs and a cat or 2 dogs and some kittens. And just so people can see the animals interact with people. You just can't tell from looking at a photograph.
Right. You go live on Facebook, right?
We go live on Facebook, yep. And you can't tell by walking through, not since COVID, you can't walk through the kennel anyway, but you can't just tell looking at this dog that may be cowering because it's scared or barking because it doesn't know what else to do. But you see them one-on-one with us and how wonderful they are. And it just brings awareness to these shelter animals, how wonderful they are and how much they need our help.
Yeah.
To be able to, I have doodles. I'm not going to lie. I bought my dogs before I got involved with the Humane Society. And as much as I love doodles, I don't think I would ever get another dog that I had to pay for like that.
Right.
There are so many sweet, amazing
changed your
dogs.
Life, hasn't it?
Yes. And I can't have cats. Courtney, my youngest one, is deathly allergic, so she can never come to the house and so I can't have cats. So we finish our show and then I go play with the cats. I'm a kitty cuddler that I stay for a while and play with the cats.
That's awesome. So if they can find you on Friday mornings on Facebook Live.
Yep.
On your personal page.
On my personal page. Okay. Yep. And then I share it to our Friday for a Baby page also.
It's Lori, Lori, and white like the color. So you can, this Friday you can go on there and find her. You know, Brian Steros is very attached to the Humane Society of North Myrtle Beach also. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, Brian is this is his office right here. We're sitting in.
I saw that. I saw that.
You should friend him if you're not already, Lori, on Facebook, because he actually didn't even like dogs really, and then his wife talked him into getting one for the boys. He got one. He was your podcast last week, right? I listened to the whole thing. Now he has like 830 dogs or something. And the one he had most recently was a rescue and an abused dog. It was so sweet, amazing what they do. But thank you for sharing that. So two questions. Actually, maybe three more, and then we'll be gone because I know I just can't stop with you. What would you say is your superpower if you had to define it for yourself?
Oh, I think I have two, but the authenticity, like all the stuff I just shared.
Yes.
The fact that I'm human, and I'm not afraid to share when I'm human. I'm not afraid to share if I've made a mistake, because if I make a mistake, I'm going to make it right. I'm human, right?
Yes.
I'm not perfect. But that authenticity, in the days of short sales and all of that, I was right there with everybody else going through it. I had investments that were going south.
Right.
I had a foreclosure. I shared all that with my clients who I was helping through those same things, because I wanted them to know that I'm not just doing this as a way to make money. I mean, I lived this. I understand what you're going through, and I can help you.
Yeah.
So that part of me just being authentic about who I am and the things that I've experienced, I think that's my biggest superpower.
I love that. What's the second one? You said you had two.
I just feel like I have a really keen ability to read people in most cases.
Yeah.
And sometimes I know what they want before they consciously know what they want, just by reading what their body language is, what they're saying. But you got to let them get there themselves. But I can just kind of feel when I see a property, what's going to work for somebody just from what I've heard them say and what I've heard them not say.
Right. That's pretty cool. I would agree with both of those. And I hope the listeners will know that the reason I ask that is partly so that you will evaluate, what are you here for? What do you bring to the table? What circumstance or what group of people can you help the most? And you nailed it on those two. That's perfect. Tell me a book that you like, or maybe you have two that, and remind me, I'll put these in the show notes and we can connect to them.
I'm not the first one to say this, but The Liberty of Our Language Revealed by Thomas Blackwell.
Brian actually shared that one also.
He did. Yep. And I love that book. And I have little excerpts from that book all over my wall in front of my desk.
Yeah. Things
that I won't say. Like I won't say I always, or I can't, or I suck, or many different things. And I'm human. Sometimes I'll catch myself saying it and I say, no, that's not right. So I really love that book. And then Rejection Proof by Jai Zhang, I think is how you say his name.
Yes.
It's a fast, funny read.
It is. That's a great one.
Such a good book.
No one said that yet.
Oh, I love that book. And I recommended it to somebody to Mike Ritchie in our accountability group, and he read it and loved it. Yeah, that's the one where he'll go up and knock on a door and say, he's trying to show himself what rejection felt like so he could learn how to get through it. And he did, I think there's 99 different things he did, but one of them was he walked up to a front door and knocked on the door, and a man came to the door, and the author's standing there with a soccer ball under his arm and a cameraman. And he said, "Do you mind if I go in your backyard and play soccer?" To a stranger. And I don't know if I recommend everyone do this, and you pick the right neighborhood. And then he ate a cheeseburger at a fast food restaurant, and he went back to the counter and asked for a refill on the cheeseburger. Like, I just love it. Yep. And most of the time he got what he asked for.
That's exactly right.
I think they're probably just afraid of him.
Who's this crazy person?
Yeah, it's such a good book. I have not watched his TED Talk, but I've heard it's very similar to
fantastic. I'm glad you reminded me of that. I need to revisit that. And it's okay, listeners, if you have to do it on Audible.
Yeah.
If you don't read and don't sit on the beach or cruise ships. We haven't even talked about travel. I can't believe we hadn't touched on travel. We'll touch on travel next episode because I can't go there. But tell me one thing. We like to ask everybody that's been on the show, because it's called Rise Up in real estate. What is one thing that you do in your daily routine to help you rise up, if there is anything?
There is. I just like to help somebody, and that could look like anything. Quick example. Today I saw a listing that just came up in my neighborhood where I live, And I was doing some on-site fill in there for the agent when she was off. So I have all the materials. I have all the collateral. I have the CCRs and the floor plans and all that. And I noticed she didn't have anything posted, and it's somebody I know.
Right.
And so I emailed her and said, hey, I live there. I've got this. This is the floor plan that you just listed. I'm attaching it. If you need the rules and regs and all that stuff, let me know. Something as simple as that.
Well, what did you expect in return? Nothing?
Just a phone call saying, "Oh my gosh, thank you. Please send it to me."
Yeah, people do nice things like that, not expecting anything in return.
I don't expect anything in return. Cool. But you know what? We're all here doing the same business, and we're here to help each other. We're not here to tear each other down.
Right.
And if you see a way that you can help by a quick email that's going to help them with the size of the rooms or the square footage of the house or whatever it is, it's right there on paper. You can just send it to whoever is interested.
Yeah, that's amazing. I should do this because I did this on one other episode, and somebody actually called me and said, "Hey, I did that, and it really worked." I think I challenged my kids every day when I drop them off at school, make someone smile today. And someone heard that in our episode, and they went and she called me and said, "Hey, my kids did that, and it was really cool." So the challenge for you listeners today, if you've gotten this far in the podcast, if you've made it through 38 minutes of me and Lori just being friends together on this podcast, you should try to help someone that needs it today. And little simple thing like smile, open a door, give a compliment, offer a suggestion of help like Lori just said. Try to help somebody because it will come back to you tenfold, and don't expect anything in return. They might not even say thank you. That's the hard part. But just do it because it's a good human thing to do.
She didn't even know she needed help.
Right, she didn't, but you helped her, and it's probably made her look like a rock star.
Maybe.
That's really cool. So, Lori, man, I can't believe I didn't ask you about cruising. Gosh, we're going to have to do another episode.
20 cruises.
20, that's all you've been on is 20?
The last one I went on was 3 months after Bill passed away. I went by myself because we always cruised together.
Yeah.
That was our thing. It was the easiest way to travel when he was ill.
Yeah.
Because all the restaurants came with us. So,
right. That's amazing.
And my first one with that, first I said I was never going to cruise again. And then I thought, you know what? I got to get one under my belt. I don't want to drag anybody down. I'm going to go by myself, which you wouldn't believe how many people that inspired, which was not my intention at all.
Right.
Kathy Gavinis she's my biggest fan, I think.
I love Kathy.
I do too. And she just can't believe that I was brave enough to do that. And I just thought, I didn't look at it as being brave. I just looked at it as I just had to get this done. And honestly, I loved it. Going alone was not a bad thing.
Nice.
You might have noticed I'm not a wallflower. So if I needed to talk to people, I did.
Yeah. Hello.
And if I didn't want to, I didn't. And it was really an awesome time. So
I used to ask Lori when she would get home from cruises, I'm like, how did it go? And she'd say, I booked the next one. We booked the next one.
Yeah.
So that was always your thing. And when you mentioned Kathy Gavinis, is there a nicer person in the world? That woman always compliments me, always says uplifting things. Just a joy to be around.
She just sent me a gift. She just sent me a gift.
Holy moly! I've heard more people say that. Yes, I saw it.
The turtle, the turtle painting.
That's right. I saw that on Facebook.
Was a turtle I had taken a picture of when I was on one of the excursions, and she sent it to me on a canvas.
I mean, that's what the world needs is more Kathy and more Lori. Lori, you've always been a dear friend of mine. This has been so much fun. I'm praying that lots of people listen to this. I will share this with you. I will share your links down bottom. Can you tell me how people can get in touch with you if you don't mind? How could they find you on social media or your phone number, your email, whatever you're comfortable with?
You can put my phone number in the show notes.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, that's fine. And my email in the show notes is fine. My website is lorisellsmyrtlebeach.com.
Okay,
so you
perfect.
can find me there. And my Facebook page is obviously Lori White, which might be a little bit more difficult to find, but you just text me and I'll send you a link. And then
awesome. Yep. Are you on TikTok?
I more watch things on TikTok than do videos. I'm working on it.
TikTok should be renamed Time Suck. I mean, because I can't go on it for a minute. You can't.
I usually do it at night when I'm winding down. It makes my eyes tired.
Yes.
But you know what? There are a lot of positive things on TikTok.
100%.
Because I have learned like silly little kitchen tricks.
Yes.
That like chopping up your peppers and onions and putting them in a mason jar. They last for weeks.
Yes. Yes.
I've been loving it. So
I mean,
don't diss TikTok.
No. I'm a TikTok. I just am embarrassed to how I can't say no.
Yeah.
To it. It just goes on and on. Lori, we could go on for an hour and a half. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You
are
an
having
amazing
me.
human being. Thank you for listening today, guys, and we will see you next time.
Thanks.
Well, hey, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for listening to Rise Up in Real Estate. If you liked hanging out with us today, please find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Rise Up in Real Estate. Also, follow us right now on your favorite podcast host to hear more episodes. We really appreciate you spending some of your time with us. And until next time, let's do each other a favor and all help each other rise up.